Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. I see our smiling presenter, right? I'm ready to go this morning.
Nervous smile this morning.
That is so, and I'm not laughing at you, but for those of you who don't know Fiama yet, you'll feel like she's your best friend probably in about 3 minutes after starting this session. But when she said yesterday that she was nervous, I chuckled because there is nothing about this woman that would make me think she was going to be nervous today. And when you are talking, I say this all the time, but when you're talking about something you love and something that you are passionate about and that you're good at and you do every day, even when you're a little nervous in the beginning, once you get talking, it just kind of becomes normal because that's your thing. And so I chuckled when I saw that you were nervous because I recognize.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that I feel so nervous because I've been doing that like since remote learning starting, but I don't know, it's like this time I saw other sessions and everybody was super go and I said, oh my God, this is too big for me. I have to run away from here.
Well, the other thing that I say sometimes too is no matter how many times you present or you talk in front of big crowds, that there's still like a little bit of nervousness. Like, I think it's because you care, because you want to do well. You want to make sure that what you're saying and what you're sharing resonates with people and that they find it valuable. So It makes sense, but I'm not worried about you. You're going to be amazing.
And with all the cheerleaders that I found in Twitter, I'm pretty sure that I can do it.
Well,
I love a lot.
The best things about this community is that everybody's everybody else's cheerleader, and that's the best. And they don't just say they're your cheerleaders. They show up and they show that they are your cheerleaders for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, good morning, everybody that's joining us. We're just having a little chit chat as we lead up to the remaining 6 minutes before we officially kick off the session. So just having an informal with Fiama, and we invite you as you jump on this morning to just go ahead and use that chat option down in the bottom. For those people who aren't as familiar with Zoom, there's a little chat icon. You can click on that and it'll pop up in another box, and you can go ahead and introduce yourselves. We'd love to hear who you are, where you're calling in from this morning, maybe tell us where and what you teach. We would love to know and have the opportunity for others to see who's here. Also, for those of you who don't know, that we love to connect with everybody on Twitter. We share a lot on Twitter. We give a lot of shout outs where we find our cheerleading squad. You can go ahead if you are on Twitter and share your Twitter handle in there too, because people may scroll through and they may think, oh, I'm going to click on that and go find that person on Twitter. I just put my handle in there, and maybe Fiama will add hers too. But we'd love to connect with you and see where you're coming from. So I'm just going to have a look and see where we've got people. We've got some colleagues on here. Rene, who's our colleague, she's originally from Spain. She's calling in from Charlotte, where she worked for us. And we've got California and Florida, Missouri. I think that's the first time I've seen Missouri in a session I've been moderating. The Bahamas, Colombia. Oh, Colombia, Fiamma, you've got a fan in here. They already said they're your fan. Yes, Adriana. And Kate, we know Kate's calling in up towards the mountains. We've got Argentina. Sarah, our event planning coordinator and guru. She's in here behind the scenes helping us run all these sessions. Chile, that's great. South Africa. Thank you all for sharing in here. And I see some Twitter handles in there as well. That's good. Feel free to scroll through and check that out. We've got Minnesota here this morning. Love seeing all the places where people are chiming in from. It's the best. It's so exciting. And we'll get started in about 4 minutes. But in the meantime, peruse that chat and have a look. We're in New Mexico. Great. Welcome to all of you. We are very excited. I've been enjoying looking at the Twitter feed about the conference and just seeing all of the tweets that have been going out. I've tried to, be in as many sessions as I can, even ones I'm not moderating, but I've also had to fit in my other normal meetings during the day. So it's great to be able to go back to Twitter and see all of this activity and hear about the sessions that I've missed and get excited about how I'll be able to access them next week, which you will hear more about in a few minutes. So. I see lots of familiar faces on here and names so far. We've got several of our United We Teach regulars, our community members who show up for our live chats every week, including our presenter today. And I see lots of names of Participate Learning teachers who are currently working here with us in the United States. I love it. For those of you that are new to knowing about Participate Learning, as you're typing in the chat, we have about 2 minutes left. We'd love to just quickly hear how you heard about us. Did a colleague email you, a friend email you? Did you see it on Twitter or Facebook? Great, I see Michelle saw it on Facebook. Some of you may work in a Participate Learning program and you're a US teacher. New York saw it on Facebook. Yay. Some of you know it because you're from the United We Teach community. That's great. Some of you probably heard about it from the presenter of whatever session you are attending or the first one you attend. We're happy to hear that too. Thank you for sharing that. It's neat for us just to hear how the word spreads. Always enjoy that. Yeah, that's great. I can't see all of the little fields, but our Argentinian friends that are here in support of Fiama, let me guess that your mate is right in front of you. Is it? Am I right? Yes, I knew I would start to see some of those. Yes, fantastic. That is an ongoing commentary on our United We Teach weekly live chats. All the Argentinians that chime in always have their mate, they're ready to go, and I join with my coffee, and we're energized and ready to start. So with that being said, it is 10 o'clock, so we will go ahead and kick off. I see Fiama getting nervous already, but there's no need to be nervous. She's in a room full of friends and fans and cheerleaders, and this is going to be a wonderful session. So thank you all for joining us. We're so happy to have you here this morning, and I probably will say this in every session, but you are in for a real treat this morning. Fiama is one of the most energized and excited and dedicated educators out there, and what she has to share today is super important and valuable for any educator anywhere in the world, no matter whether you're returning to an in-person classroom, a remote learning environment, or a blended combination of the two. This is going to be valuable for you. Before we dive in and get started, we just want to do a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, I'm Michelle. I work with Participate Learning here in Chapel Hill, but I am a Canadian, proud Canadian, and I taught with the program 3 different times here in the United States, and now work at our head office here in Chapel Hill, and I work very closely with all of our teachers and cultural ambassadors around teacher engagement and experience. So I'm thrilled to be here with you today. You are my people. I love being with the teachers. That is my favorite thing because I feel at home. So we encourage you this morning in the community building sense. If you are up and awake and you feel like letting people see your smile, we encourage you to turn your camera on. It's great to see a sea of smiling faces. It makes our presenters feel like they're just not staring at a black blank room. But we also understand that for some of you, maybe your camera isn't working or you're just not comfortable. You're like, I'm still in my PJs and I really don't want you to see my llamas on my pajamas. And that's okay. We're fine with that. We also encourage you to use gallery view so that at any point you can see as many of those smiling faces as possible. And also just to make sure that everybody in the audience can hear Fiamma clearly through her presentation, we ask you to just make sure that you're muted at all times. Towards the end, we will have the opportunity to have a Q&A with Fiamma. So throughout the session, if questions pop up, feel free to type them in the chat box. I'm going to be gathering those for Fiamma, and at the end during the Q&A, I will ask all those questions. We will also, at that time, if anyone has questions that they didn't type in and they would like to ask out loud, you can unmute your mic during the Q&A and ask Fiamma a question out loud. So we'll do that then. Another quick reminder, just because these are two questions that we get a lot. We get questions about the sessions. If you have to miss a session, what happens? Are you going to get to catch up with it later? And the answer is yes. At the end of the summit, we are going to be taking all of the recordings from the week and turning them into videos that will be put in a collection in the resources section of the community. And you will get an email that lets you know about that and how to access that, but those will be available to you. And there will be a collection for the presentations, like the actual slide presentations, as PDFs as well. So you'll be able to access all of those things next week once the summit is over. The other question that we're getting a lot is about the badge. So the participant badge. There is a digital badge that you can earn for participating in this summit. You only need to fill out that reflection one time, and then you get the badge to say that you rocked up, that you were part of this session. If you are somebody who's looking to get continuing education credits through your district, there's information in that reflection section that lets you know who to contact in order to get a certificate that will list the number of hours that you participated in the summit, because we have all that information on the back end. So I hope that that answers some of your pressing questions. And then we're gonna quickly just talk about Participate Learning for those of you who maybe this is your first session and you don't know who we are. We are hosting this virtual event because we are all about teachers and doing what is best for teachers and what is best for students. So Participate Learning, some of you from other countries and even here in the US may have heard of us as VIF or Visiting International Faculty back before we changed our name. We changed our name to Participate Learning a few years ago as a 30th anniversary present to ourselves. We've been around since 1987, and originally we were doing teacher exchange, cultural exchange. Our mission has always been to unite the world through global learning. And we did that by bringing cultural exchange teachers from around the world to teach here in the United States for up to 5 years. And we continue to do that. But over the years, we have expanded to reach more students and to reach more teachers. So we have developed global immersion and dual language immersion programs. And we partner with schools and districts to deliver those across several states here in the US. And we are excited this morning because Fiamma is one of our cultural ambassadors and dual language and global educators here in the United States. She's a proud Argentinian. She works at Martin Millennium Academy, which is in Edgecombe County, out towards the eastern part of North Carolina, creeping closer and closer to the beach. And it is a beautiful spot, a very welcoming spot. And the school's amazing, and Fiamma is just one of the educators who helps to make that school and that district amazing. We love her. Her school loves her. Her students love her. Her families love her. Her district loves her. And we know that you are going to love her too if you don't know and love her already. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Fiamma. She's going to take it away.
Thank you so much for such kind introduction. It's always a pleasure that you are there saying so many cute things to me and make me feel more comfortable. And I'm going to ask you a favor. I will need that you be like alert, because in the middle of the presentation, I will need your help to take some screenshots of an activity that we're going to do. That as I'm going to be sharing the screen, I can't, but I want to see your faces during this activity. So when I tell you, you can put a screenshot and everything will be done. I'm going to start sharing my screen so we can start with the presentation. Please, if in some part something is not available to watch or the sound is wrong, let me know. I think that everything will be okay. But well, let's start. First of all, I'm going to present myself. I am Fiama Liaudat, as Michelle already said. I'm Participating Learning Cultural Ambassador and really proud United We Teach community member. I'm from Argentina. I'm a special education teacher. I've been working in this area for 5 years in my country. And I arrived to the United States 1 year ago. And I've been working as kindergarten co-teacher in Martin Millennium Academy in Spanish immersion program. And I'm an active Twitter person. So if you have a Twitter account, follow me at Miss Liaudat, and you can see there all the resources, ideas, works that we are all the time sharing. And this is the way that we teachers continue learning together. So I recommend you that if you don't have a Twitter account, you should create one and start following this community that is all the time giving us new opportunities to continue developing our practices. So today I'm here to work with you and talk with you and learn with you about the strategies for building belonging with students and families virtually. That this one was one of the topics that we have been working on in our United We Teach chats. And so many of us as teachers were struggling during this remote learning. This past year was a special one because first we had the opportunity to connect with our kids, and then we go through remote learning. This new year is a new scenario. The things are going to be different. But of course, as always we do, we are going to be prepared and ready to face whatever is coming. So if we think in a normal school year, we can imagine our little kiddos coming to school, hiring their teachers, hiring 5 principals in the hallways, welcoming them, middle schooler just talking about their interests, their games, their plans. And now the reality changed. We are not going to see this anymore. If we come back to school, this is going to be in a new reality. And maybe we are not coming neither. We are talking about the school closure, about the famous Plan C that we are going to come back 100% online. So it's in this new scenario that we as teachers start asking ourselves, how can I continue to foster a sense of belonging with my students while schools are closed and now the learning is online? What are ways that can I maintain strong teacher-student relationship and student-student relationship too, and how to keep them engaged? And the most important, what tools can I put in practice or can I use to listen my family's hopes and concerns about their children's education? All these things are all the time in our mind, and probably most of us are struggling with that. So today my idea is to start sharing what I'm feeling and what I consider that could help us to be prepared for the next school years. In the first part of the session, we are going to talk about the barriers that we can find during this remote learning to be able to establish and connect with families, taking account of the different reality of each house, and how we as teachers can develop strategies to overcome these barriers. Then we are going to identify which are the key tenets of virtual connection and communication that I consider we should take account of them to make the connectedness with families easier and effective for them. And at the end of the session, we are going to talk about the specific strategies or ideas for building and maintaining virtual relationships that most of them are ones that we already used last year in my school, and other ones that my colleagues use, and I know that probably we can put in practice this new year. And I consider that building belonging sense is part of the social and emotional learning approach. So I add some more information about this too. I know that on Monday, my colleague, Mrs. Smith, was talking about them. So I'm not going to go into the concept, but yes, to take some ideas about how to work with them and how to identify them in each strategy that we put in practice with our kids. So let's start talking about barriers that we can find during this remote learning time. This is something that is struggling our job all the time. Like I listen a lot teachers asking themselves or asking colleagues, you know, that I can connect with a family. There is a family that never connect in all the 6 months that have remote learning. they are not completing the assignments, they are not responding to mails. Well, which are these barriers that are preventing our kids to be part of these remote lessons? Which are the barriers that are not allowing these families be connected with us? To change it, to take a strategy to go through these barriers, first we have to identify them. So some of the barriers are no access to high-speed data internet. This is so typical, and it could prevent our kids to, for example, download big videos, go to access different kind of website that has so many cookies, or just not be able to be part of a Zoom meeting or Google Hangout. No access to enough technology. In house, maybe there are 4 or 5 siblings that they are working with only one iPad, one computer, one cell phone. And we know that all of them has to have remote learning. So how they are going to do to split the device in the times that they have. Maybe no one in the house is fluent in English or in Spanish. This is something we have to take account. Maybe we send the assignments in Spanish, and in the house, no one knows how to speak Spanish. So we have to take the barrier account to see, okay, how I'm going to change it? How can I help with that? Maybe, and this is a sad reality, there are older students caring for your siblings. So how we can expect that be an adult responsible for our kid assignment if this adult is an older student? It's like his brother, his sister, whatever, they are studying too. So this is the reality that we see a lot in our students. Maybe one or more family members are unemployed. We know that this is a consequence of this coronavirus time, and this affects social and emotional our kids and their families. And sometimes they don't have time to care about an assignment because they have to care about how to get food to their house. No transportation available to pick up paper resources that school is sending, or just lack of motivation to make their child complete the assignments. So any of these barriers can appear, for sure appear last year and can appear in our practices this year. The thing is, we have to identify them, and we have to know and realize that these barriers are out of our hands, that we couldn't solve them. We couldn't go to a family member a job, or we couldn't teach to all the family how to speak in Spanish, or buy for everybody new iPads or computers or whatever. But in this situation, we can ask to ourselves, what can I do to maintain connection with this family, to help them to put their kids, their children, to engage them in the lesson, the remote learning lessons? How we are going to do that? Think about the possible solutions or possible strategies to overcome these barriers. The first thing that we have to develop in ourselves is empathy. Not only as teachers, as persons, empathy, I consider that is the key. So I'm going to show you this short video about the difference between empathy and sympathy, because they are not the same. I realized about the real meaning of empathy when I was preparing this session, and I think that it could change everybody's point of view about the situation. So please let me know if you can hear.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with "at least." And we do it all the time, because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So, I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, "I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me." Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
Well, it's strong. When I saw this video, it's like, wow, how many times we judge somebody or we don't think in the way that they are facing this situation. So if we have to know the meaning of empathy, I can say that it's the action of understanding, of being aware of being sensitive to, and of experiencing like others' feelings and thoughts. It's like, if we have to put it in 4 steps or in 4 elements, we can see that being empathetic is being able to see the world through the other person's eyes. What means put aside our own stuff to be able to understand what they are seeing, what they are facing. Is appreciate them as human beings and not judgment. That's the most important thing. Understand their feelings. But as we saw in the video, the most important thing is communicate understanding. Because we can understand them, but if we don't tell them, look, I understand you, I was in the same situation, we can do it better, we can solve it in this way. Or if we can't solve it, at least say, look, I understand you, I am with you, and I can't do anything, but I'm going to be with you trying to solve it in the best way that we can. And I think that empathy is going to be like the key for us to face this new school year. And if we have to think in our families, I think that first we have to try to understand them. Maybe we can put in practice some kind of survey, Google form or interview, or just a call to say, okay, with nice questions, not specific one, we can ask, okay, how many devices do you have at home? How many people live in the house? Or some kind of question that can give us the answers for the before barriers that we talk about. And we can have a resume about each family and know, okay, if this family is not connecting, I already know that in this house there are 5 siblings and probably they are not connecting because they don't have a device. So what can I do now to put in practice a strategy that they can connect in another way? So what I can say about maintaining connection with family is that try to identify the barriers that are preventing them to connect, and try to understand what they are facing in that house, in this new reality that all of us are facing about education and coronavirus. So now I'm going to need that Michelle be able to take some kind of screenshot, because before go through the other part of the session, I'm going to test your empathy. Let's see how empathetic all of you are.
There's more to yawning than meets the eye. Research shows that yawning is contagious. And so when you see the word yawn, or look at photos of people mid-yawn, or watch film of actual yawns, you will start to feel like yawning. Also, the more you're affected by the images, the more empathic you are. So if you're feeling the need to yawn right now, then you tend to be good at reading other people's emotions. Whereas if you don't feel like yawning, then you're more of an emotional island.
I have to say that each time that I practice this presentation and each time that I watch this video, I was yawning all the time. And I said, oh my God, after this activity, everybody's going to fall asleep in the middle of the session. But it's really good, like, to understand in a practice way what is empathy, right? So I hope that you enjoy it. And let's go through to the next part of this session. Let's start talking and identifying which are the key tenets of virtual connection and communication. These are the ones that I could recommend you, but probably they are not the only one. This world is full of things to do, so I would love to continue sharing more of them if you consider after the session. But well, the first one I'm going to say is try to be clear and consistent. As shorter messages you can send to families is better, and as consistent you can be in the way that you use for communicate with them, the better it could be. I'm going to show you these pictures. You can use, for example, these different kind of app for communicate with them. Class Dojo, email, Seesaw, and much more. The thing is, try to be clear in the way that you use them. For example, my little teacher is not going to allow me to lie in this, she's here. But we use Class Dojo for daily messages and like regular information. We use email to send each week the schedule of the week. So each Sunday night we send email with the schedule, and it allows parents to sit down and anticipate the activities that we are going to do. They already know that they have to check the email each Sunday night. So if we are clear and we are consistent, we are going to get these families connected, at least in the first step, to organize their activities. Be authentic and be familiar. It's like we have to be connected with families, and we love all the new apps, all the new things, all the innovative tools that we can use. But sometimes with families, it's better keep it simple. Like if you have to communicate something with your kids, you can put in practice whatever you want because you know that they are going to enjoy it. But sometimes with parents, if they have to log in some specific place, or if they have to download a super big video, it's going to be more difficult. So try to be keep as simple as you can. And familiar, it's like try to use the same phrases or words or routines that you can make like something used to do for our kids. For example, we had our morning message in the school where we start the day every day saying the same, like buenos días, ¿cómo están? Muy bien. So when we had to move into remote learning with Ms. Rios, we did the same. Each day, one of us sent a morning message to our kids saying, buenos días, ¿cómo están? Muy bien. And our kids understand it. What is more, one parent one time told us, you know that I asked my little kid, what do you say in the video? And she said that you say that you don't, they don't have to do any homework. And we know that she understands all what we say, but they are so funny in this kind of way because they are familiar with the phrases that we were using to give the morning message. Another thing, flexible. I think that flexible is the second name of all of us. We are already prepared to communicate with parents in as many ways as we can. I'm going to show you here a picture of one of the last announcements that we sent to them, that we send it through Class Dojo, that the school posted on Facebook, and then for sure we call parents every Friday. And this Friday we call them and ask, okay, have you seen that announcement that the school uploaded about this? So this is the last way that you can use to be sure that the family read the announcement or is informed or is updated about the things that the school is sharing. But yes, sometimes just sending an email is not enough. You have to use all the ways that you can to be sure that parents are receiving the information. And the last picture that I put on of me talking was like, I remember Friday near 6:30 p.m. and I was still talking with parents. Yes, because most of the parents work in like normal hour from 8 to 5. And if you try to call them at 3, that is your work time, you are not going to find them. So sometimes we have to be flexible with that too. Like say, okay, yes, one day in a week, I have to talk with them after 5 p.m. because it's the only way that you can be sure that you can connect and talk and know what is happening in this house. And the last one, my favorite, be creative and innovative. as I said before, there are so many apps and things that we can use to personalize our messages, our communications. You can use your emoji, you can talk as a cucumber, but this is more for our kids than for parents. Like, be creative in a way to work and to establish communication with our students, to keep them engaged, of course. And I'm going to share this little video that is so funny. And it remembers me and my lead teacher in the end of the year virtual party that we had, that we dress up like Hawaiians and we turn on the cameras and our kids' faces were really, really like, wow, look at Miss Ria and Miss Liaudat, they are dressed like Hawaiian. And we were dancing and jumping. And I'm glad that this day there were nobody at home because it was crazy. Well, this girl remembered me that.
Hey friends, I didn't see you there. I was busy taking a swim, but guess what? This week is our last week of school. Can we get a ooh?
Please let me know that most of you were doing something like this during this last time of remote learning. So let's go through these strategies for building and maintaining virtual relationships. Everything is okay. I'm hearing some kind of background. I don't know if there is somebody with the microphone on. Well, these are some kind of strategy that we put in practice last year, and I consider them important. But as I said, probably there are much more, and I will be glad that you share with us that in the participant community. So I think that one of the most important strategies that we can put in practice for building and maintaining relationship with our kids are the virtual meetings. It's that moment of the day that they can that you can bring them together, between them, like talking with their peers, seeing each other, sharing things with them, and that they can see you too. And it's a familiar face, and you can try to recreate the environment that you have in the school. You can have parties as we had, you can make activities, you can lead the class, you can make a challenge, you can share a snack, whatever it is, like to be there and share with them. We used to have classes last year. We did our literacy rotations, our math class, and it's something that happened, for example, in a math class, was like one of our kids started crying in the middle of a game. And I was thinking these days, like, maybe sometimes we send the activities or the app to play and they start playing. And if they are struggling with that, we didn't know. We couldn't realize about that because we are not seeing them. We are not there with them. And maybe parents can think, okay, they have to do it because they know how to do it and they don't work with them on that. So that day that this happened with our little girl, we were both with my lead teacher in the class. She was sharing her screen, so he couldn't see it. And I saw her like crying and said, oh my God, what I can do? So I turned on my microphone and started talking with her. Okay, little girl, tell me, which question are you? And she said, question number 3. Okay, what number do you have? Number 4 and number 2. Okay, can you see me? Yes. Look at my fingers. I have 4 fingers. I have 2 fingers. Let's count together. How many I have? Well, we can have 6. Okay, can you find the option that says 6? Yes, she found it. The face of that little girl changed automatically. She ended the game and she really enjoyed it. And I could see her parent walking away there and saw her struggling with that. And I said, oh my God, how many times they maybe are struggling with things and we didn't know because we are not in real time with them. So for me, host a virtual meeting is the best strategy that we can use to keep the relationship with our kids. Record and share videos or audio clips to try to keep the routines that maybe we have in school. Maybe you can use for morning announcement, for morning message, for birthday shout-outs, or for share some kind of challenge. This is a short part of a video that we did, one of the morning message that we sent last year, that yes, sometimes we don't feel like, or we wake up and we are really asleep, but well, it's a nice way. One of the parents record her little daughter watching our morning message and answering the questions that we did in the video. So it's a nice way to keep the routine that we used to have in the school.
Buenos días, ¿cómo están? Muy bien. Hoy es un nuevo día y vamos a arrancar este día fuerte, ¿sí? Vamos a ver, ¿qué día es hoy? Muy bien, hoy es martes. Hoy es es martes, hoy es martes, mar, 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 mar. Hoy es martes, hoy es martes, mar, 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 mar.
Well, in this morning message, each morning, what we used to do is like continue with the same phrases that we used to do in the school. It's like we ask for the day, we wait for their answer, we sing the song, and we use these iClip cartoons to try to hit our sleepy faces because, yeah, sometimes it was hard. But well, other strategy, take your class on a virtual field trip. That is my thing. I love it. But where there are so many museums, zoos, cultural places that have already virtual field trips created, so you can take your kids in one. You can do it in real-time classes, or you can do it asynchronously. So you can send it, and then you can work on discuss it in another class. And if you have time and if you like it, you can create your own virtual field trip using Google Slides. If you go to the Tech Tools Participate platform, you can see the tutorial that I create about how to make your own virtual field trip to any part of the world. And with my lead teacher this year, we did it. We did one to Argentina and one to Colombia. And I'm pretty sure that the kids really enjoy it. Send daily, weekly newsletters to families and students. Another thing that we should do is like when we were in the school, in the right side of the picture, you can see that this is our newsletter. We send it home weekly, and there we put like the school announcements, the school needs, the schedule for the week, the high frequency word that we were learning, the contents that we were working in math or in science. So it's a way to keep families updated about your kids' learning process. Why we couldn't do that online? Totally we could. That's what we used to do on this weekly email that we send on Sunday nights to parents, where we put the links for the Google Hangout meetings, the schedule for all the week, the activities, the links for the different ways so that they can work with their kids. So it's something that you can do in a physical classroom or a virtual one too. Build a virtual classroom. That was like the boom of the last year remote learning. I know that most of you that are in this chat probably has your own virtual classroom. I took the idea from one of my colleagues, Ms. Enriquez. So we created just arriving to the end of the remote learning year. The left one is our virtual classroom. You can see that we try to recreate similar to the one that we have in real life. And there we put the links for the schedule, the link for the morning meeting, for the afternoon meeting, the special activity, the flip grid. It's like one of the parents told us when we sent it, it's amazing that we have all the links together in only one place. So kids can see it and see as they are like in the classroom and feel like they are in the school. And at the same time, parents are feeling like with easy access to the different things that they have to do for their kids. Host informal office hours. This is important to have time for kids and parents to connect with you in a normal way. Just, 2-3 hours weekly that you can have appointment with them, just for sharing how they are feeling or some kind of experience. We as kindergarten teacher every Monday morning listen so many stories about a weekend on the beach, a weekend on a hotel, a weekend on a cruise, or a birthday that they had. So why don't have these hours to spend with them just talking about how they are feeling or what they are doing in these weird times that we are facing. And the last one, collect and share virtual notes of gratitude and appreciation. This is something that we used to do in school in normal times. We recognize our students' strengths weekly, what they get, what they achieve. If we have to, each time that we recognize some of them, we hear in the morning announcement and we clap our hands when we listen to their names and they feel really good. And we have to be thankful with our parents too, that they are being part of our students' learning process when they came to school to read a book, and maybe when they did it online too, of course. We were super thankful with our parents during remote learning because we hear them speaking in Spanish as good as our kids, so they were learning with them. So don't forget that showed the kindness and being thankful for all their support and for being there. This is a video that I show like the last remote learning time, saying my students how much I miss them. Up to now, what I want to say is like, I'm pretty sure, of course, that the standards are the thing that we have to teach, but forget better learning in our students. I think that we have to prioritize relationships and positive environments to work with. So to arrive to the end of this part of the session, I want to share with you this little video about the power of relationships in school that sometimes we don't realize how big it is.
Good morning, Ariana. How you doing today?
The purpose of the morning greeting is to connect with them and to just make sure that I'm seeing them as humans. Like I'm making that relationship with them, making that bond.
I prioritize relationship building because getting to know them is the best part of the job.
When I come in the morning, we usually talk about things that are happening in our community.
We're trying to build caring and respect.
The teacher is trying to understand who I am and my values as a person.
When I have a free 45 minutes or an hour, I think to myself, I could sit down and catch up on Grady, or I could go and make connections, whether it's a smile or a joke or a reminder. It validates their presence in the building.
Rock it out in the art room. It starts from so much honesty and transparency with kids. It's really easy to strive to be this like idealized, always ready to go elementary school teacher, and that's not real and that's not human. When people start talking about other things while I'm still giving directions, it feels frustrating for me and I have to take a breath. My students connect most with me when they see that I also struggle and I also have challenges. It takes a lot of vulnerability on my part.
Total familiarity.
When that student knows that you care about them, when they know that you're a human,
Let's think about that.
Their academic performance in your class is going to be better.
If I'm comfortable around them, then I'm more confident around them, and it's easier to ask questions and things like that.
So when you're looking at this graph, what is it that you think happened?
Some teachers I don't always get along with the best, so then sometimes I'm like, I can't do it, so I'm just not gonna do it. But when I like the teacher, I want to do their work. I'll be like, I can learn this.
You all have done outstanding work.
Emotion and learning are completely connected. If you're in a positive emotional space, if you feel good about yourself, your teacher, that actually opens up the opportunity for more learning.
Good to see.
Well, definitely, I think that most of you agree with me that, of course, social and emotional are part of our kids' learning process, and this is why we have to take care and pay attention on those things. Everything about social and emotional learning approach, I learned when I arrived here. In my school, we had to complete so many documents last year about these competencies in our kids, so I started working with them, and now I realize that indirectly we are working with them all the time in all the activities that we prepare. So arriving to the last part of this session, we are going to talk a little about social and emotional learning as part of building belonging sense with our students. But I don't want that you become asleep. We are just in the last part. So we are going to experiment social and emotional activity to build relationship skills, social awareness, and responsible decision making. So the game that we are going to play, I'm going to ask you to have the chat box prepared that I'm not going to be able to see it, but between you can see it. And that's the important thing, because I'm not going to be playing, I'm going to be hosting it. But the game that we are going to play is Never Have I Ever. I'm pretty sure that most of you already played sometime in your life, maybe in a Saturday night with friends, drinking some beers. I don't want to know how many of you get drunk with this game. But well, today we are going to do it in another context. We are going to play a Never Have I Ever teacher style. And the rules for those that don't know it is, I'm going to make a sentence, never have I ever, and complete it. And if you do it sometime in your life, you have to answer I have. And if you don't, you're going to put never. There is that, please, as much as you can answer in the chat box so you can see how many of you already did and you can feel part of this community. For example, if I say, never have I ever, Google myself. If you did it sometimes, please write I have. And if you don't, you're going to write never. So let's start. Never have I ever forgotten a student name. Please don't lie. That I have to say that I did all of the sentences that are going to appear in this new in this activity. Let's go with the next one. I'm going to give you like between 5 to 10 seconds to write, but I don't want to spend so many time because we don't have it. Never have I ever cried at work. Yes, sometimes. Not only maybe at work, maybe when we are in the parking, just leaving the school, but it happened. Never have I ever gone more than 6 hours without the bathroom break. I have to say I'm thankful that I work with my lead teacher so we can split it, but I know that the ones that work alone spend much more than 6 hours without the bathroom break. Never have I ever, that's the best one, left the copy machine jam. Who didn't do that? It's like you are not normal. You have to do it in some moment of your teacher career. Never have I ever used my teacher voice outside of the school with a partner, wife, husband, kids. That's so typical. That happens a lot. That it happens to me that you are talking and you say, "Oh my God, I'm talking like if I'm in the school." It's so funny. Never have I ever hidden from student parent in a public place a weekend. Sometimes I used to be like socially with people and more with my kids, but well, sometimes you don't want it. And more in my country, this small one. And the last one, never have I ever told a student, great question. We will come back later because I had no idea what the answer was. That's so true. And I'm in kindergarten. I don't want to imagine you that are maybe in middle school or high school. That would be worse. So this is just an icebreaker and a little game to build this community sense or belonging sense that we were talking about, and to put in practice these competencies about social and emotional learning, about relationship skills, social awareness, and responsible decision making. I'm pretty sure most of you experiment that, oh wait, I wasn't the only one who was living that. You know, you feel that you're part of the teacher community, of course. So the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning Foundation determined like the main competencies of social and emotional learning are these ones, that the ones that we have to develop in our students: self-management, self-awareness, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. I don't want to go into each of them because I know that you already know them and you have been working with them in the sessions before. But these are like the main competencies that we are going to be focused on work with our students, physically or virtually, in all of our activities. And taking account of these competencies, I'm going to share with you a document with the strategies for work with them that was shared with me by a teacher called Lisa Hervey, that if you don't know her, she's a teacher from North Carolina, digital genius. And she's great. She's all the time sharing new courses, workshops, ideas, resources. This is her Twitter account. So if you don't follow her, take note and start following her. I asked her, please, I love the document that you shared with us in the last session in our county. Can I use it? And she said, of course. So I'm going to show you this. She put like in a grid, like the different competencies that we can work to develop social and emotional skills, and the strategy that we are going to use. So with this strategy, which competencies we are going to work, and different ideas to work with it. For example, for checking in, we are going to be working on develop self-awareness, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. So how we can work with checking in from K to second grade, for example, using a visual prompts or picture to talk about our kids' feelings, for example, with the sounds of regulation, or with the color monster, or with emojis, or with just, there are so many things to talk about feelings, but the idea is like use visual because they are kids and they have to identify the feelings with somebody else. From 3rd, 5th grade, you can ask a student, for example, to draw or choose an emoji that captures how they are feeling. With 6 to 12, we can post a check-in question as a discussion and or in shared document, and talk to them then to discuss how they were feeling, and it's going to allow us to build empathy between them. If we are going to work with team building, this is where we can put the activity that we already did about never have I ever. We are going to be working with social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. For example, from K to second, we can play the game Hey, Me Too, that's similar to never have I ever. You are going to post some sentences, and the one that leave it can answer, hey, me too. So this is a way to build community. From 3rd to 5th grade, you can create a yes and story. That's amazing. Like you give like first sentences. I didn't take the word. You take a first sentences, and the idea is that the others start completing it. For example, the river is full of fish. Yes, and there is a crocodile coming up. Yes, and I saw so many fishes running away. Yes, and I saw that. Well, the idea is like you give a first sentence, and then with yes and between all of the students, you can build a story. And from 6 to 12, you can create maybe a challenge that they can work during all the week to see, okay, during this week, I have to get this thing. For example, read 1,000 pages of a book, or walk some kind of amount of steps. These are some of the ideas. Of course, you can put in practice much more. For class discussions, you are going to be working against social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. And that was some of the strategies that I already shared. For example, using Zoom or Google Hangout, you can have a morning meeting, and there the student can share their feelings, or they can discuss about some topic or feelings or thoughts. And from 3rd to 12th, you can create, for example, a virtual wall for different discussion topics where students can post their comments. We can use Padlet, we can use Flipgrid, or so many of other apps that we already know that we can use for that. And then with the strategy role-playing and modeling, we are going to be working with self-management, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. For example, with K2, we can read The Color Monster, that is my favorite book. That is the one that talks about feelings. Or you can read Daniel Tiger and create your own picture of a book of emotions. Daniel Tiger is a super sweet song about how they feel and how they solve it. Like it says, I was feeling really bad because she took my favorite toy, but then she understands me and now we can play together. So it's amazing for work with the kids. From 3rd to 5th grade, you can create maybe classroom virtual norm with your student, and then role play what that look like, along with what could you do in some kind of specific scenario. If you know that these are the rules or the norms, what could you do if somebody do that thing? So the idea is that they can feel part of the norms, of the creative norms from the classroom. And the last one, from 6 to 12, you can create role-playing challenge that the student might be facing. So have students switch roles to raise awareness and empathy, so thinking through how the person might feel. These are just some of the resources that you can use, or the strategies that you can use for building relationships, for building belonging sense, and for teaching your students social and emotionally. Because as I said before, I'm a big defender that first are relationships, and in a positive school environment, you can be sure that your kids are going to have a great learning process. So before I arrive to the question and answers part, I want to share like 10 seconds of this video. I love this woman. I saw all of these TEDx conference, and she is clear what she say, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you are going to feel identified. So this is going to be the lessons.
So teachers become great actors and great actresses, and we come to work when we don't feel like it, and we listen to policy that doesn't make sense, and we teach anyway. We teach anyway because that's what we do. Teaching and learning should bring joy. How powerful would our world be if we had kids who were not afraid to take risks, who were not afraid to think, and who had a champion? Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be. Is this job tough? You betcha. Oh God, you betcha. But it is not impossible. We can do this. We're educators. We're born to make a difference. Thank you so much.
Definitely nothing to add to what she said. So Thank you so much for being the other side of the screen. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see your faces. Well, I don't have much more things to say. I'm glad that you were there. I hope that you have so many takeaways from this session. We are facing a new school year, and of course, we are going to do it in our best.
Great. Thank you so much, Fiama. If you all are using your reactions in the bottom, please give her a round of applause or do it like this. I see lots of clapping hands. The comments in the chat were amazing. The ideas, people have walked away with incredible ideas and with the reminder that those relationships with students and families are key. You can't do anything with your students. They can't achieve anything until they know that you love them and that you care about them and that you're connected to them. And this was just a perfect reminder of all of those things with some really great practical ideas that people can take back to the classroom. So thank you, Fiama. You did get some questions that were repeated a couple of times, and I'm just looking at the time now. We have 7 minutes, and we have to end this session before we can start the next session, which is the panel. And so what I'm thinking, Fiama, since you are such an active and engaged member of the United We Teach community, I'm wondering if you would mind if the few questions that I have here on a Post-it note, if I go and post those in the chat later today and tag you in them, would you provide some answers there, including the links to the resources that you shared here today? Some people are asking about the links. Would you be willing to do that for everybody? And so I will go ahead and post in the chat here for everyone. Pardon me? Someone have a question? No. Okay, I think it cut out a little bit. I've posted in the chat a couple of important links. So one is to the United We Teach community, which you can go there. If you have not joined that community yet, I encourage you to go click. It says will have the ability to connect with the people here on the chat. If you are interested in badge and or certificate, I promise you the answers to all of your questions about how to do that are via that link. The third link I posted is the summit discussion. So that is where later today, I'm gonna tag Fiama, I'm gonna put these questions, she'll post the links, she'll post the answers to those. To encourage you, if you are on Twitter, her handle, it was on the last slide. Maybe she'll actually post it in the chat for you right now too. Took a screenshot, take away from this session, something that really resonated with you and you're excited about, that you loved, go tweet and tag her, tag us. We'll like that tweet, we'll retweet it. And then the final link that I shared is just a reminder of the link to the other sessions that are going on the rest of today and tomorrow and Friday. Still lots of learning to be had. And with that being said, we are going to say another huge thank you to Fiama for all this inspiration, sharing her expertise and experience. And then we're going to jump off so that those of us who are attending the panel discussion with more inspiration from our 3 Teacher of the Year winners. That's going to start at 11 o'clock. If you haven't registered for that and you're interested yet, it's the last link that I posted in the chat to go on and quickly register for that. And also, just as we wrap up, if you have a quick second to tell us how satisfied you have been with your sessions so far, we would love to hear from you and see how you're enjoying the sessions. And please, if you have any questions or concerns, things that you want to share with us in terms of feedback, we would love to hear from you. And you can certainly send a note, post in the community, and ask those questions. But we are so happy that you were here with us today. And thank you, Fiama. And we hope to see you all in the community soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks. I think that was Christina.